You scrolled past 30 videos and stopped on this one. That wasn't a coincidence. That was a trigger. And something placed it there on purpose. Right now, while you're watching this, there are systems running in your brain that you didn't install and can't see. They decide what you want, what you fear, what you buy, who you vote for, who you think you are, and you've been calling those decisions yours your whole life. The devil doesn't need horns. He doesn't need fire. He just needs you distracted, comfortable, and absolutely certain that your thoughts are your own. That's the whole play, and it has been running on you since the day you were born. Think about the last time you felt broke and unworthy scrolling someone else's highlight reel. The last time you bought something you didn't need because an ad hit you at the right emotional moment. The last time you stayed in something, a job, a relationship, a belief, not because it was right, but because leaving felt too scary. That wasn't weakness. That was engineering. Someone built that feeling on purpose. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you 6 specific ways your mind is being controlled right now, today, without your knowledge or consent. 6 mechanisms that the most powerful forces in the world, media, advertising, social systems, political machines, use every single day on every single person watching this, including you, especially you. And here's what's going to make this hit different from every other wake-up, sheeple video you've ever seen. I'm not going to tell you the world is evil. I'm going to show you the exact psychological mechanics, the actual wiring, so that next time someone pulls one of these levers inside your head, you feel it, and you can choose not to move. That is the whole point. Not fear, not rage, awareness. Because a lever you can see is a lever that no longer works. And by the end of this video, you're going to see all 6. This isn't conspiracy theory. This is neuroscience, behavioral psychology, and 5,000 years of documented manipulation. From ancient Rome to Silicon Valley, dressed up in the same costume and running the same plays. The costume changes. The plays do not. Paying attention yet? Good. Because the people who click away right now are going to keep living inside someone else's programming. And the ones who stay are going to walk out of this video seeing the strings. Every single one of them. Let's go. But first, you need to understand what the devil actually means in dark psychology. Because it's not a supernatural being. It's a behavioral architecture. And it's been quietly upgraded every decade to stay ahead of your ability to recognize it. Asterisk in dark psychology. The devil is the name for the system of mechanisms that keeps human beings controllable, consumable, and compliant. It isn't one person, one company, one government. It's a set of psychological levers, tested over centuries, that work on the human brain the same way every single time. No exceptions. Not even for smart people. Especially not for smart people. Here's what trips smart people up. They think intelligence protects you from manipulation. It doesn't. Intelligence just makes you better at rationalizing why the manipulation makes sense. You're not harder to control when you're smart. You're just more confident that you aren't being controlled. And that confidence, that's part of the design. The Romans called it bread and circuses. Keep the population fed enough not to riot and entertained enough not to think. 2,000 years later, it's DoorDash and Netflix. The delivery method evolved. The mechanism is identical. Give people just enough comfort to stop them from asking uncomfortable questions. That's the play. That's always been the play. Edward Bernays, Sigmund Freud's nephew, invented modern public relations in the 1920s. He literally wrote a book called Propaganda and admitted, straight up, that the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is the invisible government of society. He said that in a published book in 1928, and the systems he designed are still running right now in your social media feed. In the 2010s, behavioral economists discovered something that shook the entire field. Human beings do not make decisions based on facts. They make decisions based on how facts are framed when they are delivered, and what emotional state the person is in when they receive them. The content barely matters. The packaging controls everything. That packaging is what we're calling the devil today. Asterisk, and the packaging has gotten terrifyingly sophisticated. The algorithms running your social feeds were not designed to show you what's true. They were designed to show you what keeps you on the platform the longest. Those are not the same thing. They are often exactly opposite things. And you've been trusting the algorithm like it's your friend. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris put it this way: there are 1,000 engineers on the other side of your phone screen whose job is to figure out how to break through your self-control. 1,000 people with all the data on your behavioral patterns, competing for your attention against your own willpower. And they're winning. Every single day, they're winning. Now here's the thing about all of this that nobody wants to say out loud. The mechanism doesn't require evil intent. Most of the people building these systems think they're just doing their jobs. The devil doesn't need a villain. He just needs a system that rewards certain behaviors and punishes others. And the system does the rest automatically. That's what makes it so hard to fight. You can't point at one person and say you're controlling me. It's not one person. It's a network of incentives, psychological triggers, social pressures, and technological nudges all pointing in the same direction, toward your compliance, your consumption, and your continued participation in a game you never agreed to play. So how do you fight something you can't see? You learn to see it. You learn the 6 mechanisms. You name them, you recognize them in real time, and the moment you can name what's happening to you, the lever stops working, not because you've defeated the system, because you've stepped outside its reach. That's the only move that works. Before the 6 mechanisms, a quick note on what this knowledge is for. Understanding how minds get controlled is not an excuse to go control other people's minds. That's not the point, and it's not okay. The point is sovereignty, your own sovereignty. The ability to sit with a choice, an emotion, a belief, and ask, is this actually mine? Or did someone install this? Asterisk that question. Did I choose this, or was I led here? Is the most subversive question you can ask in a world built on your predictability. Ask it about your career. Ask it about your spending habits. Ask it about who you are afraid of and who you admire. Ask it about what you scroll to when you're bored and what you reach for when you're stressed. The answers are going to surprise you. Most people never ask that question, not because they're dumb, because the system is specifically designed to prevent that question from arising. Every distraction, every notification, every outrage cycle, every viral moment, they all serve the same function. Keep you reacting, keep you emotional, keep you too busy responding to ever stop and ask who set this up and why. You're not busy. You're managed. There's a difference. Busy means you're running towards something you chose. Managed means someone else chose your direction and made the running feel like your idea. Almost everyone you know is managed. Almost everyone in your timeline is managed. And the ones doing the managing, they know exactly what they're doing. Law 1. Right now. Asterisk 6 mechanisms. 6 ways the devil runs your mind. And not one of them requires your awareness or your consent to work. They just need access. And every screen you own is an access point. Let's name them one by one, starting with the one that's been running on you since you were old enough to feel embarrassed. Dark psychology is not evil. It is the study of how human beings are actually wired, not how we wish we were wired. The uncomfortable truth is that the human brain did not evolve for freedom. It evolved for survival. And survival, for most of human history, meant going along with the group, fearing what the group feared, wanting what the group wanted. That ancient wiring is what the devil exploits today. Robert Cialdini spent decades studying the psychology of influence and wrote a book, Influence, that literally became the Bible of the advertising and political consulting industries. He identified 6 principles of persuasion that work on human beings at the neurological level, not the conscious level, the neurological level, below conscious thought, below your ability to reason your way out of it in real time. Asterisk. B.F. Skinner proved in the 1950s that you can condition a human being to perform almost any behavior if you control their reward schedule. Variable rewards. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. You never know which time are the most addictive schedule possible. That's how slot machines work. That's how social media likes work. That's how abusive relationships work. Variable reward, the devil's most reliable tool. Leon Festinger discovered cognitive dissonance, the psychological discomfort you feel when your actions conflict with your beliefs. And here's the dark part. The brain almost always resolves dissonance by changing the belief, not the behavior. You don't stop the behavior. You talk yourself into why the behavior was fine. That mechanism is used against you every single day by every system that profits from your continued participation in something that isn't good for you. These are not fringe theories. These are peer-reviewed, replicated, extensively documented findings about how the human brain actually operates, and the people building the systems that run your daily life have read all of them. They built those systems around these findings, while most people were told to just think for themselves, as if thinking freely is possible without knowing the mechanisms that constrain thought. The architects were studying the blueprints of the mind and building accordingly. The 6 mechanisms I'm about to give you are drawn from all of this research: Cialdini, Skinner, Festinger, Bernays, Kahneman, and the documented practices of the most sophisticated influence operations in history. This is not speculation. This is the operating manual for a system that runs on you daily. You have a right to read it. And here is the thing about these mechanisms that makes them so effective. None of them feel like control. They feel like your natural reactions. They feel like your preferences, your fears, your values, your personality. The genius of the system is that it makes you feel like the author of choices it already made for you. That is the most sophisticated form of control ever devised. You are the puppet who is certain they are the puppeteer, the thumbnail that brought you here. You are a puppet. Most people who see that feel a flash of resistance. Not me. That resistance is normal. It's actually part of the mechanism. The mind protects itself from information that threatens its sense of autonomy. But here's what I want you to sit with. What if the resistance itself is the proof? What if the certainty that you're not controlled is exactly what a well-controlled person would feel? Sit with that, not as an attack, as an honest question, because the people who have genuinely broken free from these mechanisms all say the same thing. The first step was accepting that they had been inside them, not blaming themselves for it, not being ashamed, just seeing it clearly. That clear-eyed recognition, without drama, without ego, is the beginning of actual freedom. 6 mechanisms. Let's go. Mechanism 1. The one that's been working on you the longest, the hardest, and the most invisibly. The one that hits you every single time you open your phone, walk into a room, or try to make a decision that goes against what everyone around you thinks. Social proof. And it is running on you right now. In this moment, more powerfully than you think. Social proof is the brain's shortcut for deciding what's true, what's safe, and what's acceptable based on what other people are doing. It evolved for good reason. When everyone runs, you should probably run too. But in the modern world, it gets hijacked constantly. 300 million likes doesn't mean something is good. It means 300 million people were also running. The influencer economy runs entirely on manufactured social proof. The fake follower counts, the paid engagement that is seen on badges, the viral numbers. All of it is designed to trigger your brain's automatic assumption that popular equals correct. And the brain does not apply extra scrutiny to popular things. It relaxes. That relaxation is when they plant the idea, sell the product, and shape the belief. Every time, here's how to break social proof's grip. Before you adopt any belief, buy any product, or change any behavior because of what everyone is doing, ask one question: who built this consensus, and what do they gain from my agreement? That's the whole move. One question. The moment you ask it, the social proof mechanism short circuits. It only works when you don't ask why everyone agrees. Comment below. What's one thing you believed because everyone around you believed it, that you later found out was completely wrong? Drop it. I read every single one. Fear is the master control lever. It bypasses every single higher cognitive function, logic, analysis, long-term thinking. and route straight to the ancient survival brain that only has two settings: fight and flee. When you're in that state, you cannot think critically. You literally cannot. The neuroscience is unambiguous on this. A person in a fear state is a person who will accept almost any solution that promises safety. That is not a side effect. That is the point. 24-hour news exists to keep you in a low-grade chronic fear state. Not because the world is uniquely more dangerous than it used to be. It isn't, by most objective metrics, but because a person in a mild fear state watches more content, clicks more links, shares more outrage, and most importantly, is far more susceptible to the solutions being sold in the commercial breaks. Fear is the most profitable emotional state, so it gets manufactured constantly. Here's how you break a fear loop in real time. Name the specific fear out loud. Not "I'm scared." What specifically am I scared of? What specifically are they telling me will happen? And what specifically are they selling as the solution? That three-step audit: threat, consequence, solution exposes the sales structure beneath the fear. And once you see the sales structure, the fear drops by about 60% immediately. Not because the threat disappeared, because your prefrontal cortex came back online. The most sophisticated mechanism on this list: identity hijacking. When a controller attaches a belief, a behavior, or a product to your sense of self, so that questioning the belief feels like an attack on who you are. This is why political arguments get so emotional. This is why people defend brands like they're defending family. This is why people stay in religions, relationships, and careers long after the evidence says leave. The belief has been fused to the identity. Questioning the belief means questioning the self, and the brain will fight to the death to protect the self. Look at how modern marketing talks to you. Not "this product is good. This product is for people like you." Not "this political party has good policies. This political party represents who you really are." Not "this lifestyle choice is healthy. This lifestyle choice is what smart, free thinking, independent people do." The message is always the same. Your identity is on the table. Your beliefs are just the entry fee. The break: practice holding your beliefs loosely, not dropping them, holding them loosely. A belief you hold loosely can be examined, updated, and kept or discarded based on evidence. A belief fused to your identity cannot. Ask yourself, if I found out this belief was wrong, would I update it? Or would I feel personally attacked? If the answer is personally attacked, that belief has been hijacked. It's no longer yours. It's a lever. Comment. Which mechanism thus described you most accurately? Be honest. The fact that you can name it means it's already losing its grip on you. Scarcity triggers loss aversion. The same mechanism Machiavelli wrote about and behavioral psychologists have confirmed is twice as powerful as the desire for gain. Only 3 left. Offer expires tonight. Everyone else is already doing this. The brain reads scarcity as danger. It shifts into acquisition mode and bypasses the part of your brain that would normally say, wait, do I actually need this? That bypass is worth billions of dollars annually to the people who engineer it. And it's not just products. Political urgency works the same way. This is the most important election of our lifetime. Every single election cycle. If we don't act now, it'll be too late. On every issue, from every direction, simultaneously. The urgency is not wrong because the issues aren't real. The urgency is manufactured because a panicked voter is a compliant voter. An urgent consumer is a non-thinking consumer. Urgency is the off switch for critical thought. The break: implement a mandatory pause before any decision made under urgency. Not days, hours. When something is pressing you to decide right now, that pressure is almost always the mechanism, not the situation. Real urgencies announce themselves through circumstances. Manufactured urgencies announce themselves through other people's voices. Learn to tell the difference. The pause is the entire defense. Skinner's variable reward schedule is the most addictive behavioral loop ever documented. Slot machines, social media likes, text message responses, news alerts, Tinder matches, they all use the same mechanism. Sometimes you get the reward, sometimes you don't, and you never know which time. That unpredictability is not a bug. It is the engineering. The uncertainty is what keeps the behavior compulsive. Your brain releases dopamine, not when you get the reward, but in anticipation of maybe getting it. The maybe is the hook. Every time you pick up your phone without a specific purpose and start scrolling, you are pulling a slot machine lever. Every time you refresh your email waiting for a reply, slot machine. Every time you check your analytics, your likes, your stats, slot machine. The behavior feels like information seeking. It is dopamine farming, and the architects of these systems designed them with specific knowledge of the neurological mechanism they were targeting. This was not accidental. This was engineered. The break. Remove the variability wherever possible. Scheduled check-ins instead of constant availability. Notifications off. Specific times for specific platforms. The reward loop only works when access is constant and unpredictable. Control the schedule and you control the loop. You will not stop wanting to check, but the wanting loses its urgency within 72 hours of removing the variable access. The brain is remarkably fast at adapting when the lever is taken away. Comment: what's the one app or habit that you know is a slot machine, but can't stop pulling? Name it. Naming it out loud is step 1 of rewiring it. Cognitive dissonance is the discomfort you feel when your actions conflict with your beliefs. And here is the mechanism that makes it a devil's tool. The brain almost never resolves that discomfort by changing the behavior. It resolves it by changing the belief. You don't stop eating the junk food. You tell yourself you deserve a treat. You don't leave the toxic relationship. You tell yourself it's complicated and they have good qualities. You don't quit the soul-crushing job. You tell yourself stability matters. The belief bends to protect the behavior. Every time. Every system that profits from your continued participation knows this. They don't need to convince you their thing is good. They just need to get you to participate once. After that, your own brain will manufacture the justification for continued participation. The sunk cost fallacy, I've already invested so much, is cognitive dissonance in its purest form. The more you've put in, the harder the brain works to convince you it was worth it. That mechanism is worth trillions of dollars annually to the systems that exploit it. The break. When you notice yourself constructing an unusually elaborate justification for a behavior or a belief, stop. That elaborate justification is the dissonance resolution engine running at full speed. It is a red flag, not a green one. The more sophisticated your reasons for why something that looks bad is actually fine, the more clearly you are seeing the dissonance mechanism, not the truth. Ask, am I constructing this argument because it's true, or because I need it to be true? 6 mechanisms: social proof, fear loops, identity hijacking, scarcity and urgency, reward loops, cognitive dissonance. These are not 6 separate tools. They work together as a system. Fear gets you in the door. Social proof tells you everyone else is already inside. Identity hijacking makes inside feel like home. Scarcity tells you there's no time to think. Reward loops keep you coming back. And cognitive dissonance convinces you it was your idea all along. That sequence: fear, herd, identity, urgency, addiction, justification, is the complete operating protocol of every effective manipulation system in history. From cults to cable news to corporate culture to social media, the delivery mechanism changes every decade. The 6 steps do not. They have not changed in 5,000 years because the human brain has not changed in 5,000 years. You are running ancient hardware. They know every bug. Now you know the bugs too, and that changes everything. Not because knowing the mechanism makes you immune. You're still human, the triggers still fire, but because awareness creates a gap, a 1-second gap between the trigger and the response where a conscious choice can live. That gap is freedom. Tiny, hard-won, real freedom, and the only kind available to a human being operating in the modern world. Drop below. I just saw myself in mechanism _ fill in the number. No shame in it. Seeing it is the whole move. Here is your 6-step counter protocol. For social proof, ask who built the consensus. For fear, name the specific threat and the solution being sold. For identity, hold beliefs loosely enough to examine them. For scarcity, implement a mandatory pause before any urgent decision. For reward loops, schedule your access instead of leaving it constant and unpredictable. For cognitive dissonance, flag any unusually elaborate justification as a red alert, not a green light. Asterisk 6 questions, 6 pauses, 6 moments where you interrupt the mechanism before it completes. That's all sovereignty actually requires. Not a retreat from the world, not a rejection of all media and technology. Just 6 intentional pauses, 6 moments of asking, is this mine? Or was I led here? 6 moments of being the observer of your own mind instead of the passenger. And here is the thing about people who learn to do this, who genuinely develop the habit of that gap, that pause, that one conscious second before reaction. They start to seem different, calmer under pressure, less reactive in arguments, less easily baited on social media, less susceptible to urgency pitches, less predictable to the people who used to know exactly which lever to pull to get a response. They seem like they've changed. They haven't. They've just stepped off the strings. That is what the thumbnail about. You are a puppety present tense. You are a puppet, past tense after this video. The strings are real. The puppeteer is real. But the strings only hold if you don't know they're there. You know now. And the only question left is what you're going to do with that knowledge in the next 24 hours. Let's talk about what that actually looks like in practice. Because most people hear information like this and feel fired up for about 40 minutes and then go right back to the same patterns. The mechanism for that relapse, cognitive dissonance, you already know how that one works. So, let's beat it before it beats you. Pick one mechanism. Just one. The one that hit hardest. The one where you thought, okay, that's me. Apply its counter protocol for 7 days. Not all 6. 1. 7 days of asking who built this consensus. Or 7 days of scheduling your phone check-ins. Or 7 days of flagging elaborate justifications. One mechanism. 7 days. That's the entire assignment. At the end of those 7 days, 2 things will have happened. You will have interrupted the mechanism enough times that the interruption starts to become automatic, and you will have gathered specific, personal evidence that the mechanism was real, because you remember the specific moments you caught it running. That evidence is more valuable than anything I've said in this video, because it's yours. It came from your own observation. Nobody installed it. The people who have done this work describe the same shift. The world gets quieter, not because less is happening, but because less of what's happening has an automatic hook into your reaction. You watch the news and you see the fear architecture instead of feeling the fear. You scroll social media and you see the social proof manufacturing instead of absorbing it. You notice the identity appeals in marketing without being moved by them. The world is the same. You're observing it from a different position. That position, the observer position, is not detachment. It is not cynicism. It is not the belief that everything is manipulation and nothing is real. It is simply the ability to choose your reactions rather than having them chosen for you. That's it. That is the whole game. Choose your reactions. Everything else follows. Asterisk the devil's greatest trick. And this is the line from the movie, but it applies perfectly to dark psychology, is convincing you he doesn't exist. Or, in modern terms, convincing you that your manufactured preferences are your authentic choices, that the fear you feel about the right things and the comfort you feel about the wrong things are just your natural responses to reality. They are not. They are the output of a very well-designed system, and now you know how to read the output differently. This is what it means to be dangerously aware, not paranoid, not arrogant, not convinced that you're above it all. Because you're not, and neither am I, but awake enough to catch the moments when the mechanism is running and make a different choice. That awareness, practiced consistently, is the most disruptive thing a single person can do inside a system built on their predictability. And here's what makes it even more powerful. You don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to post about it. You don't have to convince your friends or win debates. You just have to live differently, Choose differently. In the small daily moments where the mechanisms usually get you, the cumulative effect of those small different choices is a completely different life trajectory. Quietly, without announcement, without performance. That's real change. The systems don't care about the people who post about waking up. They care about the people who actually behave differently. Posting about awareness is still just engagement. It still feeds the machine. Behaving differently starves it. The revolution, if there is one, happens in individual behavior, not in content, which is almost everything this platform is designed to prevent you from realizing. I realize the irony. I'm telling you to change your behavior on a platform designed to prevent behavior change. That irony is intentional. Use this video for the information, then close the app and go live differently. That's the move. That's the only move that actually matters. 6 mechanisms, 6 counter protocols, 1 week, 1 mechanism to start. That is the entire practical takeaway from 10 minutes of dark psychology. Simple, almost offensively simple. The most powerful things usually are the complicated stuff, the elaborate theories, the conspiracy frameworks, the infinite rabbit holes. Those are usually the fear loop and the reward loop working together to keep you in the content rather than out in your life making actual different choices. Don't fall for it. Use this. Put the phone down. Go. One more thing before the climax, because this is the part most dark psychology content skips, and it's the most important part. These mechanisms were not invented by evil people. They were discovered by scientists, refined by marketers, deployed by systems, and adopted by ordinary people in ordinary relationships doing ordinary harm without knowing they were doing it. Your parents used some of these on you without knowing. You've used some of these on other people without knowing. That's not an excuse for anyone. It's context. And context matters for what comes next. What comes next is compassion alongside awareness, not for the systems. The systems don't need your compassion. They need your non-participation. But for the people inside the systems, including yourself, the goal is not to become suspicious of everyone. The goal is to become clear-eyed about mechanisms and warm toward people. Those two things can coexist. They have to, because the alternative, suspicious, isolated, certain that everyone is running plays on you, is itself a devil's mechanism. Divide and distrust, classic. Don't fall for that one either. The person who comes out the other side of this kind of awareness is not darker than they were before. They're cleaner, less reactive, less easily baited into tribal warfare, less susceptible to the urgency machine, more genuinely themselves, because they've started to locate which parts of themselves were actually theirs all along. That process, uncomfortable as it is the best thing you can do for yourself and for the people around you. Because a less manipulated person is a less manipulative person. The work starts inward and radiates outward. You came here because something in you already knew something was off. The scroll stopped here. The thumbnail hooked you. But underneath that, underneath the algorithm and the visual, there was a part of you that was already asking the right questions. That part of you is what this video was actually for. Not the algorithm, not the watch time. You. That part of you that already knows you're capable of thinking more freely than the systems around you want you to think. Trust that part. It got you here. It'll take you further. Not perfectly, not linearly, not without the mechanisms catching you sometimes, because they will. But further, consistently, incrementally, irreversibly further away from the puppet strings and towards something that actually feels like the life you chose. That's the whole pitch. 6 mechanisms. 6 breaks. 1 week. Start tonight. The systems count on you forgetting this by tomorrow. They count on the dopamine of the next scroll washing this away. They count on the next fear cycle pulling your attention back before any of this settles into behavior change. They are probably right about most people. They are wrong about the ones who do something with it in the next 24 hours. Which kind are you? Not a rhetorical question, a real one. Because the answer you give yourself right now, not out loud, in the comments, in the private honest part of your mind, That answer is either the beginning of something real or the mechanism telling you it was interesting but not quite urgent enough to act on. You know which one is which. You just learned the mechanisms. Apply them to this moment right now. Is the resistance you feel to changing your behavior the truth? Or is it the cognitive dissonance resolution engine keeping your current habit safe? Is the feeling that you'll get to it later real priority setting? Or is it the reward loop calling you back to the dopamine of the next piece of content? Those are not comfortable questions. They're not supposed to be. Comfort is how the mechanisms keep you still. You've been handed a mirror and shown 6 specific things in it. You cannot unsee them. The question is whether seeing them is enough to change where you go next. Historically, for most people, seeing isn't enough. Acting is what changes things. The smallest possible action. Right now, before the next video, pick the mechanism. Name the counter protocol. Commit to 7 days. Done. That's it. That's everything. The climax of this video is not a dramatic declaration. It's a question. And it's the only question that actually matters after everything you just heard. Stay with it. It's coming. You are a puppet. Present tense. Right now. Today. In this moment. There are strings attached to you that you didn't put there. That's not an insult. That's a diagnosis. And diagnoses are the beginning of treatment, not the end of hope. The old you, the one who scrolled without seeing, consumed without questioning, reacted without choosing, stayed without deciding. That version of you is dead. It died somewhere in the last 10 minutes. Not dramatically, just quietly and permanently. Something has been named that cannot be unnamed. Something has been seen that cannot be unseen. That's not nothing. That's everything. You are a weapon, pointed at your own awareness, at the 6 mechanisms, at every system that counted on you staying distracted, comfortable, and certain that your thoughts were your own, not a weapon against people, against the mechanisms, against the strings. That's the only war worth fighting, and it's entirely internal, entirely yours, entirely winnable. You belong to no one, not the algorithm, not the news cycle, not the social proof of your timeline, not the identity the marketing built for you, not the fear that keeps you clicking, not the comfort that keeps you still, not the elaborate justification your own brain manufactured to keep your habits intact. You belong to no one, not yet fully, not automatically, but by choice, increasingly, deliberately, starting now. The devil's greatest power is not that he controls you. It's that he convinced you there was nothing to control, that your reactions are just reactions, that your beliefs are just beliefs, that the life you're living is just the life you chose. The moment you question that, really question it, with the specific knowledge of 6 mechanisms and 6 counter protocols, the power shifts, not all the way, not permanently without effort, but it shifts, right now, in this moment. You felt it, asterisk. Every person who has genuinely broken free from mass psychological control, and there are not many of them, because it is genuinely hard work, all say the same thing afterward. It wasn't one video, it wasn't one insight, it was the accumulation of small conscious choices, compounding over time until the reactive life became a chosen life. This video can be one of those small choices. If you let it be, the systems are not going away. The mechanisms are not going away. The strings will still be there tomorrow and next week and next year. This is not about escaping the modern world. It's about moving through it with open eyes, choosing deliberately, reacting less, acting more, consuming less, creating more, being frightened less, being curious more. Small shifts, real shifts. Yours. The thumbnail said you are a puppet. But here's what the thumbnail didn't say, and what I'm telling you now. Puppets don't watch videos about puppet strings. Puppets don't ask uncomfortable questions about their own compliance. Puppets don't sit with the specific discomfort of recognizing themselves in a list of psychological mechanisms. You did all 3. That's not nothing. That's the first evidence that the strings were never as tight as they seemed. Take the 6. Live differently in 1. 7 days. Report back, not to me, to yourself. Because ultimately, the only audit that matters is the one you conduct on your own life with your own honest eyes. That audit, done seriously, is the most dangerous thing you can do to a system that runs on your predictability. Go be unpredictable. Starting tonight. The question I promised you. Here it is. If you discovered tomorrow that one of your most firmly held beliefs, political, personal, spiritual, social, had been deliberately installed in you through one of these 6 mechanisms, and it was not actually yours, would you be willing to let it go? Think about that. Really think about it, because the answer to that question is the exact measure of how free you actually are right now. If this hit, if something in the last 10 minutes made you see your day differently, your habits differently, your beliefs differently, subscribe, not as a courtesy, as a decision. This channel goes deeper every week into dark psychology, mass influence, behavioral architecture, and the specific tools that keep people compliant. The ones who stay are the ones who actually want the upgrade. You already proved you're one of them by making it here. Share this video with one person. The one in your life who you watch getting played by these mechanisms and can't figure out how to tell them. You don't have to tell them. Just send them this. Let the content do the work. If they're ready for it, they'll hear it. If they're not, nothing you say would land anyway. Send it and let it land where it lands. The work continues next week. Same channel, different mechanisms, deeper cuts. The content on this channel is not designed to keep you watching. It's designed to give you something to take away and actually use. If you've felt that difference in the last 10 minutes, you already know why that matters. More of that every week. If that's the kind of content you're hungry for, you're in the right place. Last drop. And this one I'm actually going to read every single response to. Which of the 6 mechanisms has had the biggest grip on your life? And what are you going to do about it in the next 24 hours? Not eventually, the next 24 hours. Leave it below. That comment is your commitment, and the act of making it publicly, even to strangers, makes you statistically far more likely to follow through. That's behavioral psychology too. Use it on yourself. The thumbnail said you are a puppet. You watched this whole video. You sat with the discomfort. You recognized yourself in at least one of those mechanisms, probably more. So let me revise the thumbnail. You were a puppet. Past tense. What you are now is someone who just saw the strings, maybe for the first time, and has a choice about what to do next. That choice is yours. Genuinely, actually, consciously yours. What are you going to do with it?